if you blink, you might completely miss it. That's all stuff that I'm sure history nerds, as I myself am, would have had us hyped anyway. They've stripped away any sort of sense of anticipation to what the movie's actually going to be. The first trailer for Gladiator 2 is getting trashed online. Does it deserve all the hate? Well, let's break it down.
I remember that day. I never forgot it. That a slave could take revenge against an emperor.
Where were you born?
I don't know. I never knew a mother nor a father.
You will be my instrument.
Who are you?
Did you hear that crowd? The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum. Because this is what they believe in. Power.
General Acacius, there are victories yet still to come.
Rome has so many subjects. She must feed them.
They can eat war.
The arena turns slaves into gladiators, the gladiators into free men.
You have something in you. I knew it from the start.
Did you now?
Rage. That rage is your gift.
This is about survival! Survive! Hold together and when it charges, break for the wall.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
The entire Roman armies.
Too much?
The general will do.
Rome must fall. I need only give it a push.
We make it out alive. Alright. Tears on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Colosseum doors.
This ring belonged to Maximus. Now I give it to you. What is the dream of Rome? If our people are not free.
I was owned. Now I will control an empire.
I will not waste another generation of young men for their vanity.
Strength among us! This how Rome treats its heroes! Tears on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Colosseum doors. The gods have spoken!
Right, so straight off the bat, I want to talk about the first 5 seconds. Sure, the music choice is a major part of what's being talked about, and I will get to that later. But let's step through this. In the first 5 seconds here, we see something that's pretty common to see in trailers these days, where they'll jam a bunch of the epic shots right up the front and then cut to trailer starts now animation. They do this because the first 5 to 10 seconds of any video online has to grab the attention of the audience. But when it comes to trailers in particular, I feel like it's a little bit patronizing to the audience to then have a graphic that says trailer starts now. And this one, they've actually doubled up on the graphic through the shots with title animations all the way through. They could have really accomplished the same thing, still jamming the same shots up the front, but scrapped the title animation and just faded in and out of black to get started in the story of the trailer. With this IP, they're pushing that right up the front to let people know, like, hey, this is Gladiator. If you liked the first movie, then surely you're excited to see the next one. A whole 24 years later. Damn it, I'm old. And you'll see this a lot with recognizable IP because they're betting on the audience attention from that brand recognition. Silly thing here though is the very first sequence of shots after the title animation shows the name Maximus carved into the wall. and then does flashback to Russell Crowe as Maximus. So right there, if they had just started off with that for the first 5 seconds, they would have had their nostalgia bait. However, they should have scrapped both those ideas, because by shoving that nostalgia bait right up the front, they've stripped away any sort of sense of anticipation to the trailer and to what the movie's actually going to be. The next sequence of shots shows Denzel.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
Shows the main character, shows the Colosseum being flooded, and has a great line delivery by Denzel.
The Colosseum, because this is what they believe in. Power.
So you're telling me that sequence right there wouldn't have piqued people's interest? Like, if you've been on social media in the past year, you would have seen the whole, my Roman Empire is, and how much men obsess over this subject of the Roman Empire. And the first movie is a classic. So by not shoving the title in everyone's faces right up front, you would have had people leaning in to spot the Easter eggs. And the whole time thinking, is this a new Gladiator film? And then the impact of that final title animation confirming it is indeed the second film would have people pumped. Now, I should say right here at the end of this episode, I will show you my own cut of this trailer. My company puts trailers together for features, documentaries, series, the whole lot. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and you can comment below to let me know if you think it's better or not. Okay, so back to the review. The second part I want to address with this trailer is the problem that again seems all too common nowadays in Hollywood, which is showing far too much. This trailer shows so much that you can almost guess the whole storyline. Like, sure, you want to show a bunch of badass stuff. The Colosseum flooding with water, badass. The rhino fight, badass. The Roman Navy battle against a fortification, badass. That's all stuff that I'm sure history nerds, as I myself am, will love to see on the big screen and would have had us hyped anyway. But the Pedro and Paul fight scene is just one of the parts that I feel takes the story elements too far. And a lot of the scenes feel like duplicate beats from the first movie. For those that know the history of this time in Rome, I'm sure we will all be pleasantly surprised and shocked when we see the film, because bringing that particular storyline to life, I'm sure it's going to be different enough to stand out and it'll be pretty epic. But let's have a look at the first Gladiator trailer so you can see that comparison.
He? Will you remove your helmet and tell me your name?
My name is Gladiator. Father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance.
Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor of Rome.
They said you were a giant. I shall cheer for you.
At my signal, unleash hell.
Am I not merciful?
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
So the trailer's definitely aged. However, that original fight scene between Maximus and Commodus, like the very pinnacle of the whole movie, is so short that if you blink, you might completely miss it. Whereas this new trailer makes the fight scene between two main characters a pretty heavy feature. And as I said, I just hope that I'm surprised when I get to the movie and they subvert my expectations there. Now, let's address the elephant in the Colosseum, the music. As you just saw in the trailer for the original film, they had a score which I believe was created by Hans Zimmer. Now, please do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but he scored the entire movie, right? Whereas the new feature features Jay-Z and Kanye West. And this has been met with a fair bit of backlash online. But is it deserved? Some of the comments I saw were people saying things like, Denzel's in it, so let's put a rap tune in, which, well, that does kind of track, doesn't it? Now, Jay-Z does say bloodstains on the Coliseum floor in the song, so I can definitely see like the thought process behind using the song, but I do feel that connection between having a person of color in a leading role, so let's add a rap song, is a little bit too on the nose. But hey, algorithms love conflict, and there's been a ton of articles written about it. It's discussed all over the internet, so it could have very well been a ploy from Paramount to just get people talking. Whatever that thought process was, or the connections that people and you and I want to draw between the song and whatever, the reason I don't think it's the right choice is that first movie won the Oscar for Best Original Score with Hans Zimmer at the helm of it. So it would really suit the IP better to introduce a new original score, or even hark back to a score from the original film. And you might be thinking at the moment that counteracts some of my earlier points where I'm talking about not so much nostalgia bait, but the music's a little bit more subtle. I don't think there'd be a massive people immediately hearing a new Hans Zimmer, score track and screaming out in the first 30 seconds like, oh my God, it's a Hans Zimmer track. But you definitely have enough film buffs that would make that connection, would comment on it, and would allow the general audience to appreciate that choice. But in saying that, you can see the decision that the executives at Paramount would have been faced with. Do we want a Hans Zimmer track and a handful of conversations? Or do we throw in a rap song and light up the internet? After all, any publicity is good publicity. Fuck, I can't say that word. Any publicity is good publicity, right? Well, this leads into the game that social media has created, and Hollywood feels like they have to play to win. Firstly, it's that no original IP is good IP anymore. Everything has to have some recognizable IP, be it from a book or a previous film. If it doesn't have a guaranteed fan base, Hollywood seems too shy to put it forward. And Vince Vaughn, of all people, summed this up pretty nicely in a recent clip where he was asked about comedy films.
So there's been endless ink spilled about Hollywood no longer making the kinds of R-rated, wide-release theatrical comedies that were such a tower of strength in your career. How have you seen Hollywood's interest in making those kinds of films change over the course of your career, and what do you think are the forces at play?
Well, they just overthink it. And it's crazy. You get these rules. It's like if you did geometry and you said 87 degrees was a right angle, then all your answers are messed up instead of 90 degrees. So there became some idea or concept, like they would say something like, you have to have an IP.
Right. Yeah, right.
So for some reason, Battleship, which is like a game we used to play like a graph, became a vehicle for storytelling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Whereas like an IP like John Hughes from our neck of the woods, right? Mm-hmm. An IP was a girl's turning 16. Like every girl turns 16. Or I'm gonna cut school. Life situations. Or old school. What if I got to go back and, be in a fraternity now at this stage of the game? The people in charge don't want to get fired more so than they're looking to do something great. So they want to kind of, follow a set of rules that somehow get set in stone that don't really translate. But as long as they follow them, they're not going to lose their job because they can say, well, look, I
crunched the numbers.
Yeah, I made a movie off the board game Payday, so you can't, even though the movie didn't work, you can't let me go, right? So people want to laugh. People want to look at stuff that feels a little bit like it's dangerous or pushing the envelope. And I think you're going to see more of it in the film space sooner than later, would be my guess.
So, okay, Gladiator 2 is nostalgia bait. Based on established IP, granted though it is 24 years apart, so at least give them that they, get some points for waiting an appropriate amount of time before recreating or, doing the sequel. Because in reality, in the late 90s, early 2000s, they had their fair share of remakes from 60s and 70s, which to new audiences at the time would have seemed just like original concepts. Or movie making technology advanced so much that it was actually great to see that old concept remade through literally a new lens. But the worst part of this whole social media game is that controversy sells. And to the execs at the top, all they're seeing is, well, our trailer, our post, our reach has hit X amount of views, X amount of comments. That's the stats that they're caring about, not the friendliness of the Discord. So if they did, in this case, choose a Jay-Z Kanye West track and it was used to drive that debate online, that sucks. But you let me know in the comments. Do you think that this was purposely put there knowing that it would cause controversy? Or do you just think that we live in a world now where controversy will be found around every corner? Overall, I'm pretty hyped to see this movie. I feel like Ridley Scott is trying to create movies that will bring back people into the cinema to get that full experience of the film. And in my opinion, he's one of the best directors out there. His blockbuster hit ratio is pretty insane. So I'm sure even with all the faults that this movie might have, it'll be a cool experience worth the ticket money. I do, however, just hope that it's not following so many of the similar beats to the first movie, and that this connection to Maximus isn't just sort of ham-fisted in there. But hey, I'll leave those reactions until I've actually seen the film. Now it's time to put my money where my mouth is and show you my version of the trailer. If you want a breakdown of how I created this trailer, comment below and I'll make sure to release that edit. If you enjoyed this breakdown and review of the Gladiator 2 trailer, I'll be doing loads more of these in the future. So give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff to stay connected. Now for your enjoyment, here is my version of the Gladiator 2 trailer.
Did you hear that crowd? The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum. Because this is what they believe in. Power.
General Acacius, there are victories yet still to come.
Rome has so many subjects, she must feed them.
They can eat war.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
The entire Roman army.
Too much.
This is about survival! Survive!
This ring belonged to Maximus. Now I give